Hey, so here's 3.4 and 3.5 part 1. We're going to be multiplying and dividing decimals, just decimals today. So our I can is I can, apparently twice, multiply and divide decimals. So our key term for today is dividend and divisor. So dividend is the number being divided. So it's the numerator of your fraction or your division problems. And the divisor is the number dividing by. So the denominator. Okay, dividend being divided, divisor dividing by. Make sure you copy those down, pause, get those copied down into your notes. So we're going to be multiplying decimals first. So we multiply them just like if they're whole numbers or integers. We need to count the decimal places in the problem, and then we're going to put the same number of places behind the decimal in the product. Okay, so there's our example. So they multiplied just like you would normally multiply, and then they counted their decimals. So they had 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one, so that's a total of 3. So we have to make sure we have 3 numbers behind our decimal in our final answer as well. So let's do this first one. So we've got 1 3/10 times -2 4/10. So we apply integer rules. So we know that since these are opposite, that our final answer to this product will be negative, just like it is in an integer. So we're going to take 1 3/10 and multiply it by 2 4/10, just like if they were whole numbers. So 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Put your placeholder, whatever it is, 0 or x. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1, remember that's from before, is 2. So 2, 11, 3, because remember we add these and multiply these. And then I need to count my decimals. So I have 1, 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2. And we always move from the left to the, right to the left, sorry. From the right to the left. So we make sure we have 2 numbers behind our decimal in the finished product. So we go 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 12 hundredths. And it's negative because they're opposites. So in that one, it didn't matter which one was first and second. But in the second one, if you notice that we have -4/10 multiplied by 1 95 hundredths. They have a different number of digits. When you have a different number of digits, you always want to make sure you have the one with the larger number of digits first, and then the one with the lesser digits second. Okay, and again, these are opposites, so we know our final product is going to be negative. So 20 and 36, 37, 38, 4, 5, 6, 7. I count my decimals, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put our product down here just so I have a little bit more room. So -78 hundredths. Okay, we don't need the 0 on the end because it doesn't represent anything. I do think it's a good idea to put a 0 in the front to show that there is nothing in our ones, but also it just shows your decimals a little bit better. Okay, so for dividing, right, we've got our divisor, the number we're dividing by. We have to make sure that our divisor is a whole number. So we're going to move the decimal point however many times we need to, 1, 2, or 3, until it is a whole number. So you can see they moved it 1 time. And once we move it in our divisor, we have to move it also in our dividend, or the number we're dividing. Okay, so they move it 1 time. So now you can see we have 14 dividing into 36 4/10. Okay, when we get done dividing, we need to make sure the decimal point lines up with the decimal in our dividend. So you can see they just brought it up. You don't need to move it after. And so that's how they got 2 6/10. Okay, so we're going to find these quotients. So this is 2 and 5/10 being divided by -5. So we're going to still use our integer rules. Since these are opposite signs, our quotient will be negative in the end. So now that I've decided that, I don't have to worry about this negative. So I'm going to do 5 into 2 and 5/10. Now my divisor is actually already a whole number, so I don't have to worry about moving my decimal. So 5 goes into 2 0 times, 5 goes into 25 5 times, and then I just make sure I bring my decimal up that lines up with my dividend, and we would get a 0 remainder. And so there's our answer, -5/10, or 5.5. Sorry, -1/2, not 5.5, 1/2. So you can either way, you can say 5/10 or 1/2. So our second problem, we've got -3 and 6/10 being divided by -6/10. So just like our integer rules, since they are the same sign, then our answer is going to be positive. So once I've figured that out, I don't have to worry about those negatives anymore. So I'm going to go 6/10 into 3 and 6/10. So remember from our example, I have to move my decimal so that my divisor is a whole number. So I'm going to move it once to get 6. And then if I do it to my divisor, I have to do it to the dividend. So we get 36. And then 6 into 36 is 6. And since I've already taken care of my integer rules, it's just positive 6. So some things to remember, right? Still use your integer rules. For those positives and negatives. And then also for multiplying, you don't have to line your decimals up. Oh. Don't know what happened there. So for multiplying, don't line the decimals up. That's something that I always see people do is they think you have to line them up, and you don't. We just treat them like they're whole numbers and then worry about the decimals after. Okay, so this is a little bit new to our notes, is instead of questions, this is actually where you're going to do some independent practice, and then we will go over them in class. So these are going to get done right now. Number 1 and number 2, you're going to do them on your own, and then we will check the answers when we get back to class. So that's it. So get those 2 problems done, and then don't forget to fill out your form for your daily check-in.